What if I told you that Fulham FC's ambitious plan to build the world's first stadium swimming pool had turned into one of football's most expensive construction disasters? For over 5 years, Fulham battled delays, collapsing contractors, and spiraling costs that turned an £80 million dream into a £130 million nightmare. The Riverside Stand was sold as a revolution in football hospitality, with rooftop pools, luxury hotels, and premium experiences no other club could match. But here's the shocking twist. The stand that was meant to secure their future almost became their graveyard. This is the story of how a simple expansion became football's most complex construction project, and why it nearly destroyed one of England's oldest clubs. To understand how Fulham reached this crisis point, we need to examine a history of stadium disasters that would make any club owner terrified of construction projects. The nightmare began in 2002, when Fulham was forced into exile from their beloved Craven Cottage. Having been promoted to the Premier League, they discovered that their historic ground didn't meet all Cedar requirements, triggering the most controversial period in the club's modern history. The Loftus Road exile saw Fulham share QPR's ground for 2 devastating seasons, from 2002 to 2004. While fans launched the Back to the Cottage campaign, making clear that exile was not an option for a club so rooted in its Riverside home. By 2003, a grand 30,000-seat rebuild had been drawn up, but costs spiraled and the plan collapsed before construction even began. The club quietly scaled things back, settling for a cheaper renovation just to move home in 2004. The lesson was brutal. Fulham's Riverside location made expansion far trickier than anyone imagined. Then came 2013, when a new chapter opened. Mohammed Al Fayed sold Fulham to American billionaire Shahid Khan. The new owner inherited not just a Premier League club, but one of the most complicated stadium puzzles in English football. Planning permission had only just been granted in 2013, and it came with eye-watering conditions. Fulham had to reinforce the river wall, build a new Thames path, and guarantee that Bishop's Park would be protected. Local residents and environmental groups fought the plans tooth and nail. Building on the banks of the Thames was proving to be as much about politics and lawsuits as it was about football. But the real disaster was still coming. The cost explosion and contractor collapse that would define this project began almost immediately after construction started in 2019. Original estimates of £80 million quickly ballooned to over £130 million as the club discovered that building next to a river presented engineering challenges that nobody had anticipated. The contractor collapse came in 2023 when Buckingham Group Contracting went into administration. This left Fulham with a half-finished stand, millions of pounds in sunk costs, and the nightmare scenario of finding new contractors mid-project while maintaining the structural integrity of what had already been built. Even so, Khan refused to abandon the project. He pumped in more cash, installed temporary seating to keep the stadium operational. And now, in 2025, the wait is finally over. The Riverside Stand has officially opened, transforming Craven Cottage with luxury hotels, rooftop bars, and riverside walkways, unlike anything else in English football. But what exactly were Fulham trying to build that justified such enormous risks? The answer reveals a project so ambitious that it borders on architectural madness, featuring innovations that have never been attempted in football stadium construction. The world's first stadium swimming pool was once promoted as the crown jewel of this project. Located on the roof terrace called the Sky Deck, this infinity pool was planned to offer views across the River Thames and London's skyline. While the pool and full health club haven't yet been built, they remain part of Fulham's long-term vision to create a year-round leisure destination unlike anything else in football. The capacity increase from 25,700 to 29,600 might seem modest, but every new seat was engineered for maximum impact. The steep design and ultra-close front row put fans just meters from the pitch, creating an atmosphere of intimacy almost unheard of in modern football. The Sky Deck itself itself was designed as an engineering marvel that extends beyond the traditional stadium footprint. Although it hasn't yet opened, plans remain for this rooftop terrace to host exclusive events, private dining experiences, and matchday viewing that combines football with luxury resort amenities. But the hotel inside the stand pushes boundaries even further. Originally planned as 9 luxury apartments, the design was changed during construction to a 4-star boutique hotel with 15 rooms. Each room offers pitch views, luxury amenities, and direct access to exclusive dining and entertainment facilities. The hotel operates 24 hours a day with full room service, making it the first stadium hotel in England designed for overnight stays rather than just matchday hospitality. Smart technology integration also reaches levels that make other stadiums seem primitive. The stand features automated climate control that adjusts based on occupancy, smart glass that can be tinted remotely, and integrated sound systems that create distinct acoustic zones. The Riverside design incorporates a complete Thames walkway expansion that connects Hammersmith to Putney, creating a public promenade that operates independently of the football club. This walkway, with outdoor dining areas and retail spaces, has already opened, transforming the stadium into a genuine community destination. But turning these ambitious designs into reality created one of the most complicated construction projects English football has ever seen. Demolishing the old Riverside stand was the first nightmare. With the Thames pressed right up against the stadium, there was no space for heavy machinery. Crews had to dismantle the structure piece by piece, making sure nothing destabilized the rest of the ground. Then came the planning war. Fulham needed approval from not 1 but 5 different authorities. Each body had its own demands, and many of them clashed, forcing compromises that drove up costs and slowed everything down. The river itself became a bigger obstacle than any rival club. Any construction affecting the Thames required a license from the Port of London Authority, full environmental impact checks, and strict guarantees that annual boat races wouldn't be disturbed. That meant building temporary river walls, scheduling deliveries by barge around the tides, and using a 400-ton floating crane positioned with GPS to lift giant steel trusses into place. Even the project's location inside Bishop's Park came with a bill. Fulham had to agree to annual rental fees and long-term contributions to local park maintenance. Then came the biggest shock of all, the collapse of Buckingham Group in 2023, the main contractor. Suddenly, the Riverside stand was half-built, with no one responsible for finishing it. It took months to bring in Portview to pick up the pieces, and by then, costs and delays had spiraled. But this was only the latest setback. The pandemic had already stopped work in 2020, and when construction resumed, social distancing, Brexit shortages, and flooding on the river slowed everything down. Yet somehow, against every prediction, the stand was finished. By May 2025, Fulham finally unveiled its futuristic Riverside stand. What should have been a smooth 3-year job had turned into a 6-year construction nightmare that nearly broke the club's finances. The numbers behind Fulham's Riverside stand reveal a financial gamble that could have destroyed the club. Costs exploded from an initial £80 million estimate to over £130 million by completion, a 62% overrun that would bankrupt most football teams. For Fulham, a championship club when the project began, it looked like either extraordinary confidence or catastrophic miscalculation. The only reason it didn't collapse the club was Shahid Khan. He personally guaranteed the financing, covering spiraling costs with his own wealth instead of club debt. That protected Fulham from disaster, but it meant Khan had no choice but to see the project through. To justify the risk, the revenue model had to be huge. Fulham are now charging between £3,360 and £12,000 for hospitality season tickets, some of the highest prices in English football. Add in a swimming pool, luxury dining, and a hotel, and the club is targeting £20 to £30 million a year in fresh income. But there's a catch. It only works if Fulham stay in the Premier League. Championship revenues could never support such an expensive facility. The timing almost ruined everything. COVID wiped out matchday hospitality for nearly 2 years, even as construction costs piled up. Then, the Buckingham Group collapse in 2023 left the stand half-built with no contractor. Khan could have cut his losses, but instead he kept pouring in cash, determined to finish the job. That determination has come at a cost. The membership packages and luxury pricing mark a dramatic shift in Fulham's identity. The most expensive seats now cost more than many clubs' entire season tickets, pushing away traditional supporters and sparking fears that Craven Cottage could lose its famous atmosphere. For the model to work, the Riverside stand must run at near full capacity year-round, from hotel rooms to pool memberships to premium dining. If demand falls short, Con faces decades of losses on a £130 million gamble. So will the swimming pool and luxury lounges pay off, or has the club risked its soul chasing a future that may never arrive? Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible football stories.